Hey Pretty Girl Club. In this video, I'm going to talk about how texturism is bigger than colorism. I said what I said. So I feel like colorism is prevalent. I feel like featureism is a thing, racism, all that stuff. But I kind of feel like with the colorism conversation, that's just more of a hot topic right now on social media. But I really do feel like texturism is even bigger because a lot of people are too scared to even get the discussion started on texturism. Not to mention the fact that your hair as a woman, that's considered one of the hallmarks of your beauty, regardless of what race you are. Like, you don't even have to be black. Regardless of your race, your hair is considered very important. Even in different religions, they call your hair your crown and glory. Some religious groups will cover the hair because the hair is seen as a tool for seduction. It's seen as one of the main things that makes a woman stand out in a crowd. And so that's why I feel like texturism is actually even bigger than simple colorism and featureism. For a lot of people, they do stereotype your hair as being a sign of like your health and being a sign of your youth. And think about how big the hair care industry is right now. I mean, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. When I looked online at the skin bleaching industry is about $8 billion, but the hair care market and kind of the market for beautifying your hair is more than double that. So it's $16 billion. And I just want to make this video as kind of an introduction into the texturism series we're going to be doing on this channel because I've got a lot of stories about texturism and about the obsession with hair in general. I really do feel like a lot of people they have such deeply internalized texturism to the point where they won't even admit that they believe that looser hair textures can grow easier due to their ability to retain more hydration and stuff like that. Every time I posted a texturism video on this YouTube channel, I've got people in the type 4s, mainly type 4A through 4C. I've got people in the type 4 range who they'll try to come for my channel or they'll try to come for my talking points because they don't want to be exposed as having some form of internalized texturism. But you guys know that every video I make on this channel, it's not actually created to shame you. It's not created to expose people personally or anything like that. This channel is really a psychology and a sociology channel. So if you do think that another hair type is more beautiful than yours, you have every right to pursue that hair texture if you want to. I don't have a problem with people wearing different hair textures or wearing wigs and weaves, but what I do have a problem with is when you wear hair textures that look like another race of people, but then you want to be racist against those people. That's where I have a problem. So when people wear hair textures that are very similar to mine, like they wear lace fronts with kind of like my hair texture on it, and then they want to call us mediocre and ramen noodle head ass bitches, then yes, that is when I'm going to have a problem. But I actually feel like it's not that big of a deal if you think that a different hair color or hair texture looks prettier than yours, as long as you can admit that to yourself and then, just go for it. Wear whatever hair texture you want. I'm not ashamed about being real on this channel. So for me, I believe that synthetic wigs look better than human hair. I mean, that's just my personal opinion because synthetic wigs, they never mess up. Like as far as the style, they're not affected by humidity. They never mess up. The curls never fall. It's like 5 or 10 times thicker than natural hair. And so for me personally, I like the attention that synthetic wigs draw. I think that synthetic wigs have kind of almost this princess-like appearance. I like how the fake ponytails and stuff look. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. So you guys have to remember, no one can expose you if you have nothing to hide. So I'm very transparent with my opinions on this channel. If you don't like that, that's fine. This is definitely not going to be the channel for you. In fact, you probably shouldn't watch YouTube at all because all of the YouTube channels are putting their opinions in there. But texturism, in my opinion, is way bigger than just colorism. I think that it is something that people obsess with. Like people obsess over your hair in general, regardless of their race. This includes white guys, Asian guys, or whatever. People obsess over how a woman's hair looks because for a lot of women, their hair is kind of the pinnacle of their beauty. And so I'm just making this as kind of an introduction because we are going to be talking about texturism on here. No, it's not going to be me just throwing shade at one hair texture and like uplifting another. I've noticed that a lot of people when they talk crap about me, like on Reddit and stuff like that. By the way, I am going to do comment foolery exposed. I'm restarting that series again, and I'm going to be pulling those comments from Reddit. So anybody who thinks they can just talk shit about this community and not get caught or not get exposed is not very smart, because we're going to bring back that intel over here and we're going to laugh at it. But I do think that everybody has their own internal standard of beauty. And I do think that for some women, their hair standard of beauty, like their beauty standard for hair texture, is oftentimes different than their own. So, like I said, that's actually not a problem. I actually don't consider it self hating if you think another hair texture looks better than yours. That's not the self hating part. The self hating part is like when you literally hate your actual hair, like you're abusing yourself or something, or like, I don't know, doing crazy things to harm yourself or to harm your hair because of how much you hate it. That's when I would call it self-hate. But I think that simply having a preference for a synthetic wig, like me, like if I have some special event coming up, I'm going to wear some sort of synthetic hair piece. Like, let's say I was in a pageant. I've never done a pageant, but let's say I was going to do some sort of pageant. Yes, I would wear a synthetic hair piece, whether it's a ponytail or some sort of half wig or something. That's what I would wear, because that is my preference. I think that that looks kind of like the pinnacle of beauty for me. But I've noticed that some people, they're so afraid to admit what their actual beauty standards are, to the point where they will lie to themselves, and they will lie to themselves and say, my hair texture is the prettiest in its natural state. Like, this looks the most done up. And if that's what you actually believe, that's fine. But I've noticed that a lot of the women who say that their natural hair is like the pinnacle of beauty, those are the same women who don't want to show it. You know, they don't want to show off their hair texture if they think it's such a pinnacle of beauty. They have a tendency to hate on people who do have that hair texture. And so we all know that when it comes to jealousy, some of the main symptoms of jealousy are bashing other people while simultaneously copying those people, or bashing other people when they didn't do anything to you, or going out of your way to call somebody else ugly, or to call someone else mid, or to talk down on somebody else's hair texture. And another thing I've noticed when it comes to the texturism conversation is every single one of my talking points about blackness, about 4C hair, all of those talking points come directly from Black women empowerment content creators and 4C hair content creators. And so when I say things like, hey, stretched hair seems to be easier to manage according to people who actually have 4C hair, then people want to come on here and say I'm being a texturist. And it's like, how come when Natural 85 says it, she's not texturist, but suddenly when a channel that promotes mixed race women and, you know, ambiguous Black women says it, then suddenly I'm being texturist? No, you're being disingenuous. You're just mad because I understand your community and I understand your plight or whatever, and you're mad because I'm putting it in a psychological analysis YouTube channel. So if you don't like that I do psychological analysis on this channel, by the way, I'm not even a real psychologist. This is literally just armchair psychology on this YouTube channel and us giving opinions. But it's like, if you don't like that I'm analyzing the mindsets that I see when it comes to these different hair textures, I would recommend clicking off of this video or not watching it, because people who get defensive in my comment section will immediately be banned, and they won't be able to come back and comment again until I reset my community settings. But I do think that the texturism thing needs to be talked about, because a lot of people, they do consider maybe wigs to be their hair texture standard, kind of like me, where it's like, I prefer synthetic though. I don't really, I mean, the human one, I feel like the human hair wigs, they look too real. I know that it's like, you should want to look real, but I like kind of the Princess Barbie look. I don't know. But a lot of women, they're scared to admit that they think wigs look better than their hair because they're so afraid of being attached to negative African American stereotypes. You know how some people try to have a negative stereotype that if you have 4C hair, that like you automatically hate your hair. So I've noticed that a lot of women with 4C hair, they don't want to admit when they think a wig looks better than their hair, or when they think that their hair looks better when it's closer to a type 3 hair texture, or when it's stretched out. I've noticed that a lot of times women who have inferiority complexes, they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to tell anybody what their beauty standard is, but I can see what your beauty standard is based on how you get dressed up. Like, how do you look on special occasions? That's what your beauty standard is. Whenever you are getting as dressed up as possible, like let's say it's a wedding, it's your birthday, it's your baby shower, you know, you're going to a special event, you're going on some sort of really formal you're going to a formal gala or something like that, how do you dress? Because that's going to be able to give you a clue into what your actual beauty standard is. And here on this channel, because I promote things like social climbing and I talk about the psychology of having confidence and self-esteem, one of the main ways to build your self-esteem is to be honest with yourself about what you think looks best. And it's okay, you don't have to be ashamed of it either. Like I just said, I think synthetic wigs look the best because I just feel like human hair in general, it just cannot compete with the synthetic wig because synthetic wigs, they stay exactly how you bought them. You can do any color, like they have more of a variety of colors than the human hair wigs. A lot of human hair wigs can look very brassy when they have highlights in them and stuff. So I'm able to be honest with myself about what my actual beauty standard is. And because of that, I don't feel ashamed if, like, let's say I'm wearing a synthetic ponytail and somebody's like, oh, is that your real hair? No, I will tell them, oh, no, it's a ponytail. Like, I have no problem telling them that because I'm not afraid of them thinking that I hate my hair. Because I've noticed that the only time you'll get mad at an insult is if a part of you agrees with that insult. So if somebody were to ever tell me that I hate my natural hair or I'm self-hating by wearing a fake ponytail, I would personally laugh because I already know that that's not true. But I've noticed that the people who get mad, it's almost like hit dogs hollering, where it's like, okay, if I wasn't able to hurt you, if that wasn't a soft spot for you, if that wasn't a sore spot, I wouldn't have been able to hurt your feelings. So the fact that I've been able to actually get you all riled up and get you all angry and stuff like that, that actually shows that you are exactly who I'm talking about. But when it comes to having a sense of confidence in your hair texture or having a sense of confidence with your beauty standard, because I've noticed you only have two options. Either make yourself your own beauty standard naturally and kind of put yourself in that box, which I used to do. I mean, I did that for like 27 years. I wasn't even allowed to wear makeup and weaves and stuff. You guys know this. So I was very natural for about, 27 years. But then I realized that I was actually lying to myself because even though I liked my hair texture, I don't have a problem with my hair texture or with my face with no makeup or whatever. But I noticed that when I was natural, I used to be annoyed when other girls, they got to change up their looks however they wanted. So when it came to hair, I would see other girls with my exact same hair texture. So they would also have curly hair, but they got to rock an afro or like see how they looked with blonde hair and they didn't have to damage their hair and over manipulate it. So for me, I was doing all of these things, over manipulating my hair, and my hair is naturally very fine. So it can, like, you know how it can kind of pull out, like the edges can pull out, the roots can pull out, all of that stuff, shedding. So I was over here over manipulating my hair, trying to keep up with the versatility of synthetic wigs. And deep down inside, I could have just admitted to myself, hey, my actual beauty standard actually is synthetic wigs. Because, for example, if you buy, like, let's say you buy a hard wig. By the way, I'm a fan of hard wigs, okay? Nobody's going to stop me from wearing my hard wigs. But let's say I were to buy one of those Cardi B long, straight synthetic wigs. Instead of spending 2 years trying to have the perfect hair care routine to grow my hair down to my butt naturally, I can just have hair that's all the way down to my butt tomorrow. So I noticed that that was the part that I used to get triggered by. That was the part that I used to feel inadequate in, was the lack of versatility. And so that's how I discovered what my actual beauty standard was for hair. My beauty standard for hair is that I can either wear it natural, I can wear my real hair in a bun or whatever, or I can also wear a wig and not feel ashamed. I can wear clip-ins or whatever extensions I want and literally look like a different person tomorrow. So a part of me loving myself or kind of like increasing my confidence when it came to hair was admitting that synthetic wigs are my beauty standard. That's a part of my beauty standard. Like, I'm not saying that it has to be the only thing that I wear, but I want to be able to include that versatility in my hair regimen. But I've noticed that some women, they're trying so hard to convince you that they're confident in their hair texture to the point where they will lie up and down and say, oh no, my natural hair looks the best. My natural 4C afro looks better than everybody. And they will talk crap about women, especially mixed race women who wear weaves. If you guys look at my gaslighting video, you'll see like video clips of Chrissy talking crap about a light-skinned girl saying, oh, she has that 23-inch wannabe Brazilian wavy and she has like fried leave out, so she's trying to shame that woman for wearing a weave when in reality, A lot of the women who will shame you, some of those women are the ones that are actually insecure about their hair texture. So, in my opinion, wearing weave by itself, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're insecure or self hating. But what does make you insecure is lying to yourself. And so that's why when I was like very natural and in the church and stuff, that's why I had more insecurities because I was lying to myself and saying, oh no, just being kind of this Christian where I just wear these long dresses and no makeup and I just have my long hair just in a ponytail or something, that is better. Like that's more holy or whatever. So me kind of trying to prove to others how confident I was by not using beauty enhancements. In my case, that was actually me lying to myself. But that was just for me. I know that there are plenty of other women who they don't feel like that. They weren't raised like how I was, and that's fine. Not everybody has the same beauty standard. In fact, my opinion is actually that no two people have the exact same beauty standard. So for you, your beauty standard may exclude wigs and weaves, and you may feel like, oh no, I have to only wear my natural hair. That is like the best option or whatever, and that's totally fine. But to pretend like every single person with 4C hair has that standard, that's disingenuous. And we know for a fact that that's not true because there are plenty of women who have 4C hair who they like to switch in and out of wigs and weaves. But I've noticed that sometimes it seems like the 4C girls are more defensive because on the one hand, they will make these videos that say, I hate my 4C hair, which by the way, I do not shame people if you hate a certain thing about your hair texture. Let's say you have acne or whatever. That's actually the first step in being able to accept where you're at. And so let's say I had 4C hair. I'll just use this as an example. If I had 4C hair and I hated my 4C hair, instead of me making a video talking about how much I hate my 4C hair and then getting thousands of people to watch it and agree with it, instead of me doing that, because that's not going to actually help me to love my 4C hair. That's not going to help me to have any more confidence. But you get to decide if you want to love certain features about yourself or if you don't want to love them. Like for me, I believe that your body type and your body shape is a part of your features. I know that usually when people talk about featurism, they're only talking about the face. But let's say you have kind of like a manly body shape. I don't know how else to describe it. Let's say you have a naturally manly body shape and you don't like that. You hate that body shape. You feel like the hourglass shape looks better. I actually feel like you can manifest more confidence by being honest with yourself and saying, hey, my body shape does not fit my personal internal beauty standard for myself. And so I'm going to, I don't know, do some workouts and like build a butt in the gym or something, or I'm going to get a surgery or a BBL if necessary. I saw the people talking crap about BBLs. That was funny. But I also think they were gaslighting. But anyway, I actually don't feel like changing yourself automatically means self-hate. But what I do think is self-hate is when you try to constantly put on a facade of self-love, and then you will simultaneously talk crap about others, calling them ramen noodle head ass bitches and saying that they've got fried Brazilian wavy hair. Meanwhile, you know that tons of people with your hair texture have Brazilian wavy on. So it's like, why is it okay if an unambiguous woman wears Brazilian wavy, but suddenly if a light-skinned woman wears it, then like she's a wannabe. So I've noticed that for a lot of people who actually are self-hating, I feel like self-hate and hypocrisy go hand in hand. And I feel like in order for self-hate to really manifest itself and take over your life, the first way that you start leading yourself into self-hate is by actually lying to yourself and pretending, oh no, I look best with like these freeform locks, when you know deep down inside you don't even like freeform locks. And so this is why I say on this channel that your body does not have to be political. Your hair texture doesn't have to be political. Whether your hair is real or not, it doesn't have to be a political statement. Some women will show their confidence by having no makeup or no weave or whatever, and then other women will show their confidence by having makeup and weave and having versatility. But I think that a lot of these things that people talk about online, they're not as black and white as people try to make it. I think that there's nuance to every conversation, and that includes the texturism conversation. So I'll use myself as an example again. So I have type 3 hair, but I've noticed that I like synthetic hair pieces or weaves or not weaves, but synthetic like half wigs and ponytails and stuff like that for formal events. So, but at the same time though, even if I am wearing my natural hair, I don't feel like I hate my natural hair. So I feel like when it comes to your body and your features, For some people, it's like you just feel regular. Like, for example, if I were to just wash my hair and just get out of the shower and then I go to a prom, I wouldn't feel ugly or like, oh my God, I hate how I look, but I would just feel normal, like more of an everyday look. That's how I would feel. So I actually do not equate feeling normal or regular with automatically being self hating. I just view it as feeling neutral about, let's say I wore my natural hair, fresh out of the shower, and then I went to a formal event. I would just feel more neutral about my hair because remember, the definition of hate is a strong and passionate dislike for something. So when you're passionate about something, it means you wake up thinking about it every day. It means that you're thinking about it in your spare time. It means that you're bringing it up when nobody else is thinking about it. So I don't feel a passionate dislike for any part of myself where it's like every day I'm thinking about, oh my God, my hair's not as thick as a synthetic hairpiece. No, but I do think there are some people who do think like that about their skin tone or their hair or whatever. And so they will try to, in order to cover that up, like instead of actually dealing with that internalized self-hate or whatever, they will try to project that onto you and say, well, you look like a wannabe with your Brazilian wavy, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, they're actually the ones who feel like they're a wannabe. And it's because they actually are. Because why would you bring that up? If nobody's talking about wannabes, nobody's talking about who looks better or who doesn't, or ramen noodle heads, nobody's saying anything about it, but you're randomly bringing it up. And especially if you're thinking about it on a consistent basis and you're like passionate about your dislike for your own hair to the point where you're making whole entire YouTube channels and videos and going viral and stuff and sitting there for an hour talking about how much you hate your hair, well, yes, then I would say that it's veering more into self-hatred. But anyway, with that being said, I am going to start a texturism series on this channel. I personally believe that texturism is actually a lot bigger than just colorism. I think that too many people are they're so texturous or they have so much unpacked emotions with their own hair textures and stuff to the point where you can't even talk about this on YouTube without people accusing you of being a texturist. But I also feel like just because you like another hair texture better than yours, it doesn't mean you hate yours. It just means you think yours is regular or 5 out of 10. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Let's say you don't feel as formal or as dressed up with your natural hair texture. And then you just feel like another one looks more glamorous. Like for me, like I said, my actual hair texture that I think is the most glamorous, it's actually fake. Not even human hair. It's literally synthetic hair that I think looks the best. And that's okay. As long as I don't have a passionate dislike for my own hair, which means, I'm waking up every day thinking about how much I hate my hair. I'm crying and stuff. Like I've actually heard of some women where they have said that they will be crying because of how much they hate their hair. And, they're crying because it looks bad or like it's never cooperating with them. And I'm also going to probably do a video talking about what I would do if I was in that situation to where I would cry. But what do you ladies think? Do you think that a lot of people are being disingenuous when it comes to texturism? Because I feel like people, they try so hard to brush texturism under the rug. And that's why I think that it's so much bigger than what people try to admit that it is. Because I've seen people where they look quote unquote unambiguous or whatever, so they don't benefit from any other isms. Let's say you look completely, you're not benefiting from colorism, you don't benefit from featureism, but because of that hair texture, now you're in a totally different category. You're on this big, huge pedestal. So that's how I know that it's definitely a thing. It's definitely bigger than what people tried to make it out to be. So we're going to talk about it. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.